tubers, tubettes, and my assorted flavors of crazy people. I am back finally after many years with my friend AJ, who I met 3 years ago back here in good old sleepy Dumaguete. And AJ hung out here for a while, had to go back to America, got stuck there for 6 or 7 months, tried to get back into the Philippines. The old pandemic hit and he couldn't come back. So he went to Thailand. And we thought we would do a little catch-up video. It's been a few years since we've been able to get together and talk. And we'll talk about his experiences living here in Dumaguete the first time, his experiences living in Thailand for the last couple of years.
Right.
And now his recent trip back here to sleepy little Dumaguete. So AJ, welcome back to the channel, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Hi, everybody.
And so tell me, let's go back in time for a minute and kind of review the first time you came to the Philippines. What was that like?
All right, well, it was an eye-opener. It was a shocker. I flew into Cebu City, and really the first time I'd been to Asia. I don't know if I told you that.
No.
But it was the first time I'd been to Asia, and I thought I'd spend a couple days out by the airport in Lapu-Lapu. And my first impression here was the ride between the airport and the hotel.
And it was Lapu-Lapu.
And Lapu-Lapu. It was supposed to be sort of a beachfront hotel,
yeah,
but it wasn't much of a beach. But the drive between the airport and this hotel was a very narrow road with a bunch of trikes on it, just all traffic everywhere, and it was dark. And people milling about. There was mud on the street, there was water on the street, and the houses were right up against the street, so it was like no way you could pass around somebody, and they were all muddy. So I was like, well, this is really, really interesting.
This is not what I envisioned.
No, this is not exactly a beachfront vacation. So anyway, I just, that was my first impression. I saw lots of debris, just garbage sort of thrown on the side of the street, that kind of thing. And I was like, this is going to be a really interesting adventure. So I was really curious, what did I get, I remember thinking this, what did I get myself into?
I had the identical experience my first day. Yeah. So from there, how long did you stay in Cebu?
Well, I was in Cebu. I went over to Cebu City. I stayed in IT Park, and that was comfortable. It was a good spot. I was there for about 6 or 7 months.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then I decided, in that period of time, after 3 weeks, I came down to Dumaguete to meet Paul. You put your first video out.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, I got to talk to this guy. Maybe he could put some sanity back in me. Because I think you should spend around 90 days in a country before you decide if it's going to work or not. You should know it within that period of time. And so I just came down. I did sort of like a grounding check with you.
Right.
And, you know, it was good. It really put my head back on my shoulders and allowed me to stick around a little bit longer. So
and this was back the first time
that was
you
the
came.
first trip, yeah.
And so you came here with the intention of staying how long?
Oh, forever.
Forever.
Yeah, that was the intention. But when I got off the airplane, it was like, did I make that right decision?
Okay.
Right.
So you had doubts while you were in Cebu.
Oh, yeah, I definitely had some doubts.
Okay, when you came to Dumaguete, did you still have the same doubts, or what happened when you got here?
Well, it's interesting. I got off the ferry the first time to see you and, you know, just travel around to see some stuff. That was all great. But as soon as I got off the ferry and walking down the pier, it's just like a complete relaxation hit me.
Interesting.
It was really a strange feeling. It was like, wow, there's just such a different tempo between Cebu City and Lapu-Lapu. And I'd done some traveling to some islands in between, but it was just, I also came down to learn how to ride a motorcycle, so I'd have some independence and freedom. So it was a nice feeling when I got off the ferry here the first time.
So Lapu-Lapu was really rough.
Right.
Cebu City was sort of rough.
Right.
But when you got to Dumaguete is when you felt your temperature drop, your blood pressure drop,
Totally.
that kind of deal?
Yeah.
And when you came to Dumaguete back in the day, did you plan to stay here for 90 days or 2 weeks, or what was your original intention? Or did you have one?
Well, I had no intention. My intention was really to stay in Cebu City because there's a great center hub there for travel, right? You just 5-minute taxi to the ferry and you go anywhere in the Philippines. So I'm a beach and boat person, so that's something that I enjoy doing. I don't mind, you know, a long ride on one of the row boats, but I liked this area enough to come back a second time. And then after 6 or 7 months in Cebu City, I began to ask myself, well, what am I doing in Cebu City? Right? What am I getting out of that? Right? There's no good beach. So I said, well, let's give Dumaguete a try. So I came down here, and I was here for another 9 months, 9 or 10 months.
So you stayed here 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And during that 9 months, what was your impression of Dumaguete back in the day?
Oh, I loved it. You know, it's a nicer Philippine town. It's on the water. It's got a great beachfront area. You know, the boulevard. The expats are fantastic here. It's a different tempo. It's a much more chilled out environment to live.
Okay. And then you had, I guess you were just going to stay here, and from what I understood, you were going to just sort of bounce around and travel and all that kind of stuff. Right. And then the pandemic hit.
That's right.
And then at the same time, you had a family issue in America.
Right.
So during all that chaos, you had to go home.
I had no choice. I had to leave.
Okay. And how long were you in America?
I was over there for 7 months.
What was it like in America when you went back? Was it?
Well, I can say this, within 2 weeks, I was like, I want to go back to Asia.
Yeah.
There's just a difference between what you experience there versus what you would experience here at this point in my life. So this is a better fit for it. Although I love America. There's so much beauty there.
We all love our country. I think it's just the dynamics between the people there.
Yes, high stress.
The lifestyle that we roll into there is so counter to what we do here.
Well, that's a key word, counter, because when I left here, you know, we had a farewell event, and it was very hard to say goodbye to the friends that I made here in Dumaguete. But contrasting that, you know, it's completely counter to what I'd experienced here in America.
Got it.
Which is why a lot of people retire here. Right?
And so when the pandemic was still raging, the Philippines was the last to open. I mean, they were just, they just weren't going to open up.
That's right.
But Thailand did.
They did, yeah.
And so you, after 6 or 7 months in the States, you couldn't get back here. You said, well, what the hell, I'll go to Thailand.
Yeah, I bit the bullet. I went to Thailand. I knew it was a great place. I wanted to visit it anyway. That would have been one of my jumping stops from here had I retired here. But because of lockdowns, I ended up in Phuket for 2 years. So I don't think I could have been stuck in a better place. There were no tourists coming in, so it was super clean. All the beaches were fantastic. Nice white sand everywhere you go.
So it was kind of like the best of the world and the worst of the world. You were dealing with quarantines and lockdowns and whatnot, and yet when you went out, there were no crowds. It gave you an opportunity to get out on your bike and see things at your own pace.
That's right.
Without a bunch of traffic and nonsense. You could roam about the cabin, as I like to say. You could explore the island.
Yeah.
And there was no big chaos or anything involved. But now things have returned to normal. What is your impression now of Thailand?
Well, I love Thailand. I think it's a great country. There's a lot to unpack on that. So think about the two types of people that are there. You have the retired expat community or the younger working community that can work remotely from Thailand. And then you have the tourists coming in for 2 weeks. They're two different breeds.
Right.
So, and by the way, Thailand's fully open. They're expecting around 25 million visitors in Thailand this year.
That's unbelievable.
Well, the height of it
It's the number one tourist destination, I believe, in the world.
I think so. Before the pandemic, there were 50 million per year visiting. You would have literally in Phuket 500,000 people get off the plane every week. So that's during high season around Christmas and New Year.
Sure.
The average throughout the year, I think, is around 100,000 getting off the airplane a week in Phuket.
Ooh.
I know, it's a lot. The big numbers as far as tourism goes. Cut that in half now, okay? Because you know we're still not at 100%.
Right.
So there's a big difference between the people that are coming in on vacation and the people that live there in retirement. I find the people there that are retired or working are very relaxed, really great people, fun to be around, and you know the vacationers bring in a lot of energy. So that's a good thing too. It's not a negative. Yeah, that's how it is. And the Thais, it gives them a chance to make some money, and they're very good at making money. It's a great country as far as their infrastructure goes. The food's fantastic. The beaches are clean. They're really into the environment that way. And you see less septic flow actually running into bodies of water there too. So,
Speaking of money, do you find it to be more expensive to live in Thailand overall? More expensive in the Philippines? Is it a push? I don't really know.
all right, it's funny. It's a lifestyle choice, what you do in Thailand. So you could be there and spend 5,000 US dollars per month, but what are you doing with it? Or you could be there and try to economize. All right. So
Could a guy, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could a guy trying to live on $1,500 a month, could he make that happen in Thailand?
Yeah, definitely. I've worked a spreadsheet out where if I had an emergency, I could be on 12,000 or 1,200 US dollars per month.
So that's doable.
It's doable, and you could even go for less. You just have to live in a smaller place or something that's not quite as close to the beach. My rent is $650 per month on the beach, though, which is a very unusual price and a very unusual find. So I just lucked out on that. Most people live back a little bit, and they could be paying twice as much rent for a bigger place and a nice developed condo.
Okay.
So you have all that kind of variation right now. And since the tourists have come back, rents have gone up between 30 and 40%. So I'm fortunate there. But overall, the cost, you could do it for $1,200 to $1,500 a month and be comfortable. You may not live in Phuket or you may not live in Patong, but you can live in other areas in Phuket and do it for that. Or you can go to Chiang Mai and even go for a little bit less. Chiang Mai is a city in the northern part of Thailand, up by Laos.
Is it cooler there?
It's higher elevation, it's definitely cooler.
Okay.
People wear jackets up there.
So originally I kind of wanted to do a video about the comparisons between the Philippines and Thailand, but in my little research before we did this video, it's been done. There's a zillion videos out there about that. So I think that the conclusion, and my own experience of living in Thailand, I think the conclusion is that the Philippines has a lot of pluses and a lot of minuses. And Thailand has a lot of pluses and a lot of minuses.
That's right.
And it just boils down to personal taste, or personal lifestyle choices. What do you want? Thailand has better infrastructure, that's well known. They have better food choices.
Right.
It's more modern. The architecture is, the houses are built better, the buildings are built better.
Right.
They're done more European style. It's more organized, there's less chaos. It's just better run as far as public services, etc.
Right.
In the Philippines, the opposite is true. We have less infrastructure, we don't have as good of food choices. I think it's a little less expensive here in the Philippines. Do you concur with that?
I agree, yeah.
Okay. I think that in the Philippines, if you want a beach, there's an island to go to that give you a beach. I think that Dumaguete, which is kind of like my hometown and what I speak about the most, I compare it to like Mayberry, from the old show on TV.
Right.
Where it's kind of quiet, it's more family orientated, there's a lot of schools, they've got one bar and a new one coming in, and that's about it. So, I don't know. What do you think about the Thai people compared to the Filipino people?
Well, they're both, I think, great people, very receptive. There's a language barrier in Thailand, but honestly, most of the translation platforms work just fine. I've had no problem really getting what I need or my point across. So that works out okay.
Okay.
So it's not really, I wouldn't call it a language barrier. The Thai people are totally friendly, but the mindset is more about money, all right? They have a more advanced society, so it's just like you would if you were in Europe or America or Australia. How am I going to pay my next bills? How am I going to build a future? That's how they think. Here in the Philippines, I think it's much more, to follow up you said about lifestyle, it's more rustic, all right? And there's much more, going back to even to the Lapu-Lapu experience I had, it's much more survival mode.
Right.
So it's a big difference on how people think there. However, everywhere I go in the Philippines, I noticed this the first time I was here, every local person greets you with a smile, right? And this really is the land of smiles. I've got to tell you that. It's so easy to get to know both the expats in Dumaguete and even Cebu. I never had a problem with that. Or the local people. They're just really easy to talk to. They joke around with you.
Yeah.
Even the guy who rents my I keep going back to the same guy who rents my scooter, and he just knows I want 10 pesos off the price, and then he gives me a scooter with no gas in it, right? that kind of, oh yeah, no problem. He siphons the tank. Yeah, you have some pretty good comic relief here. It's good.
Do you find it easier to connect with people in the Philippines on that level than in Thailand?
Yeah,
or is it the
I think
same?
so.
I mean, I'm not putting words in your mouth. I really want your honest opinion. As far as a shopkeeper goes, or a restaurant that you frequent, or a guy you rent the motorbike from, or your landlord, or just the local on the street, do you see any differences between the two places?
Yeah, I actually think it's more genuine here.
Okay, I think it's a good
little
word.
bit. And I don't want to disparage any other country, because there is none, because they're pretty sincere as well. It's just a different immediacy to the sincerity. You can just see it right from the start.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree totally.
Yeah.
I got ignored a lot last time we were in Thailand when I had a problem. Where here, if I had a problem, I get some attention from people. You know, if you put your bike down, or if you're lost or something like that. I found that people here are much more willing to try to help you.
Oh, yeah, they see you as a foreigner, and they immediately, how can I help you? It's different.
Yeah.
Although, sometimes the customer service here is a bit of a problem.
Oh, really?
Really? So this trip that I had the same exact experience and feelings when I got off that airplane. So somehow I booked through one of the sites. I wanted to spend one night at the waterfront hotel.
Yeah.
I was going to go pick up my bag in Lapu-Lapu and go back to the waterfront hotel. So I got the bag, same experience that I had the first time, kind of thing. And then I went to the waterfront hotel and said, I booked a night. I want to check in. And they took my bags and all this stuff. And the girl goes, "We don't have you down." And then she walked away. All right. It's like, I was like, "Excuse me, miss, could you help me out a little bit more than that?" So yeah, you get that. Yeah, you don't really get the, how am I going to solve a problem for somebody?
No,
right? But then they said, go down to the other waterfront hotel in Cebu City, which I did, and I ran into somebody there at the front desk who was the nicest person, and she helped me out. I even called the manager of the hotel after this and put in a review for her. That was really positive. Really big help. So you really get a wide range of service quality here.
Wow, that is a fact.
Yeah.
I have found over the 6 years almost that I've been here that I've just adapted to it and accepted it. But I can see, because I know from my own experience, it can be totally frustrating.
Right.
When you're just trying, it's almost comical now, because you see someone new come to town, trying to communicate with a Filipino, and they're both confused.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting there at the other table watching it, you go, this is not going to end well. And it was me 6 years ago doing the same thing, But you were here long enough to know what the drill is.
Yeah, but I forgot about it.
You just,
So when I went to the waterfront hotel, I was like, oh, I forgot about this.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
That's right.
It was funny.
So I'm not going to ask you to pick between one country and another, because I know that you're kind of in flux right now. So you're going to bounce. You're going to stay here for a few days.
Right.
And then what are your future travel plans?
All right, so the purpose of this trip, the overall purpose is to decide between Thailand or the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
All right. I know both countries are great. The infrastructure is great in Thailand. The people are great in Thailand. I have a good life in Thailand, great place to live. It's all affordable. Now, here in the Philippines, it's much more affordable, so I don't have to have as much burn as I did over there.
Okay.
People are lovely. The food's not quite as good, but it's okay. It's still good. So I sort of have to weigh out those two factors. The quality of life versus maybe the quality of the people might be a little bit of a difference.
Okay.
But they both have their strengths and their weaknesses.
They do.
So in that respect, I'm on this trip to decide what's a better place. And there's actually, I don't want to mention the name of other channels at all, but there's a financial channel out there that says, go where you're treated the best. Now, he's talking about taxes and savings and financial circumstances, but that can be applied to lifestyle. And then when I was up in Cebu City, one of my friends said to me, go where your heart's treated the best. So you really have these two things that are not in a line right now. So I'm trying to figure that out. So the purpose of this trip is really spend a week in Cebu, which I did.
Okay.
A week here, which I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm going to go to Angel City and to Baguio for about a week. And then I'll probably do some traveling around the area because I really think it's an interesting mountainous part of this country. And with a great coastline on the Pacific side.
Okay.
And then I want to head back to Manila and then back to Bangkok and Phuket. Okay. So that's sort of for the next few weeks, that's what my plans are.
So you came over here, you kind of reignited some memories, you're hopefully going to make some more.
Right.
And when you get back home, which home right now is Thailand,
right,
you'll be able to reflect back and kind of
sure. Well,
maybe draw a conclusion, maybe not. Right now you're in flux.
Yeah, I'm totally undecided. If you've had the experience, your viewers, of one country or the other, I'd like to know what their preferences are.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
so make a comment, kids. So anyway, I'm going to put a link to our original video. We did one when we did a 1-year review with AJ back in the day when we first met. If you guys want to catch that, that's great. And he's going to be doing some traveling. He's got a YouTube channel also over there in Thailand. I'm going to put a link to that. And I guess we'll wrap it up from there.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
What happened to John?
Oh, Expat John.
Yeah.
I get that question 3 times a day. And
I wonder why.
There's 3 or 4 videos about John. And what's funny is like people will watch the first one.
Yeah.
And they didn't watch the second or the third or the fourth. It kind of brings them up to speed, right?
Yeah.
And so John and I agreed that after he's in America, just to answer the question.
Okay.
He's working and all that.
Right.
But in the next week or so, I'm going to do a follow-up video and hopefully put the John story to bed once and for all, because I keep getting, and people are watching that original video to this day, and I'm getting comments and questions, and I just can't handle them all. There's like 11,000 comments on
Is it really?
Yeah,
I wonder
on that
why.
one stupid video.
You know, if there's a list of 20 things don't do when you're traveling, he checked off every one and did them all. You gotta laugh. You gotta laugh.
Yeah, he got the Oscar on that. So anyway, we're going to do a follow-up video on the Old Dog channel with John, and that'll be coming out in a week or so. All right, my friend AJ, it
Paul,
is
thanks.
always awesome to see
Pleasure.
you. I love your company. I love you as a human being. And I look forward to what your decision's going to be.
Yeah, well, we'll find out what your viewers
let's
have to
agree
say.
right now that at the end of the year or whenever it is,
right,
if you do make a decision or you don't, there is no wrong answer to that. We'll get together again.
Yes.
And either I'll come to you or you come back out here. And
and Paul, I just want to add one last thought
please,
here.
by all
He's
means.
not ready for this one.
No.
Congratulations on your wedding to Baby May.
Thank you.
All right, show your ring.
Yeah.
See, he's married now.
Yeah.
And I just wish Goldfinger has the same success. Good luck, Goldfinger, on this one.
Talk about a name dropper. You got John Harper and Goldfinger. We'll get Goldfinger back on the channel too.
Great.
Hey, what the hell?
I can't wait.
The bar I set for my channel, low.
Yeah. I had lunch with him the other day. He's great. Just watch what you do with your hands around him.
Just careful. All right. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you in our next video.
Yeah, coming up.